Hello, I'm Charles Moffat, and a while back I was doing a special announcement and Let's Read video, which was kind of interrupted by the fact that I ran out of space on my phone. So I'm going to finish reading that chapter that I was reading from the last time, so it'll just be part two. And just to review that special announcement, I am currently doing a draw in which the winner of the draw gets a copy of this book. And all you have to do is comment on this video and send a message to me on Instagram. Okay? And you can find the links and everything like that within my YouTube channel. So you should subscribe, leave a comment, and send me a message on Instagram, and you'll be automatically put in the draw. Okay? And the draw should be roughly 8 days from now. Okay, so we're going to back up a bit because we were rudely interrupted by my phone running out of space. And we'll continue from there. So, go away, B. Anyway, that's not part of the book. Anyway, one of the women, the older of the two, was on the ground, and there was now a man standing over her carrying a wicked-looking spiked mace. He was wearing red robes with a black circle around a crimson moon on his chest. Two men wearing armor and carrying crossbows were chasing the second woman north around a row of mausoleums towards Grigory and Piotr. They were struggling to wind the windlass cranks on the rear of the crossbows without falling too far behind the woman. Bloody Zarsian swore Piotr, drawing his dagger and pausing to wonder what Zarsians would want with two exorcists. The young woman disappeared behind a mausoleum and reappeared moments later, running with her blonde hair streaming behind her. She was dressed very plainly, but looked like she hung out with a rougher crowd of people. She was wearing a lot of brown leather and a large brimmed hat that was dangling behind her by the strap. She saw the two thieves, glancing only at them for a moment, and kept running past them and up the hill, disappearing behind the mausoleum the two men had been breaking into. The two warriors came around a corner of a mausoleum to the south, each carrying loaded windlass crossbows. Piotr hid his dagger behind his back and pointed to the gaping entrance to the mausoleum. Without questioning the two thieves, they ran towards it. Piotr dragged his apprentice down behind a tombstone a moment before the mausoleum exploded, with much more force and louder than he had been expecting it to be. Much more force and louder than he had been expecting it to be. Charred stones fell from the sky and landed on the two thieves, battering them as they shielded their heads with their arms and hands. "You didn't say it would be that big," shouted Grigory. "You can thank me later." "What?" "I said you can thank me later." "What?" His apprentice had been deafened by the sound, Piotr realized. The old thief was thankful he had covered his ears while ducking behind the tombstones, but had failed to warn Grigory to cover his ears properly while also covering his head. That was a new lesson he would need to learn. He grabbed the young man and pulled him to his feet, relying on actions instead of words. The apprentice started towards the broken mausoleum, but the elderly thief pulled him by the arm in the opposite direction, south. "Aren't we going inside?" shouted Grigory. Piotr didn't answer, continuing to pull the young man to the south, past the row of mausoleums that was further down the hill. They passed a line of oak trees and reached the spot where the older woman had fallen. The Zarsian priest was nowhere to be seen. Fled? Or just hiding behind one of the mausoleums? He kept his obsidian dagger at the ready as they neared the woman. She too was dressed in plain robes, but darker, with leather patches and reinforced with scraps of chainmail. She had 2 crossbow bolts deep in her chest and her forehead, had been smashed in by something heavy and hard, a mace most likely. She didn't look much older than Piotr himself, but she hadn't decided to retire like he had. Perhaps she had no choice. Or maybe she was just semi-retired, much like himself. Not that it mattered anymore. She was dead. Grigori was clicking his tongue and making whistling sounds. I can barely hear myself. Is that normal? In your current state? Yes, normal. What? Yes, normal. Yeah, right. The elderly thief bent low to inspect the body, checking her pockets for coins in the process. He was only being practical. They weren't going to be much use to her anymore. She had a satchel that smelled of various herbs and mushrooms, so perhaps she also worked as an apothecary. Not a lot of work for exorcists, not consistent work anyway. Piotr must have been a bit deafened too, for moments later he rose and realized they weren't alone anymore, and he had not heard them approaching until it was too late. A pair of town guards were coming up the hill from the direction of Kazark, drawn by the loud explosion, no doubt. It was also too late for Piotr to make a run for it, he realized. He was far too old to be running anywhere these days, and the guards were carrying windlass crossbows, similar in make to the Zarsian warriors. Plus, he was standing over a dead woman and carrying a dagger. They would just shoot him while he tried to flee. He turned to his apprentice, who was much faster on his feet. "Run! Fetch Rathgar," he said, speaking loudly to make sure his apprentice could hear him. "Who's Rathgar?" "The barbarian at the Hunter's Haven Inn. Get him and take him to the town jail, because that is where I will be. He's my only chance now. Kazarkian justice is slow. There will be a trial, not much of one, and they'll hang me for murder by the end of the week unless Rathgar can save me." Grigori nodded and started running. The town guards halted and started shooting their crossbows at the fleeing thief. But he sprinted between a row of mausoleums and vanished into the maze of tombstones, statues, and hollowed edifices. Piotr dropped the dagger as he was holding and put his hands up high as the town guards approached. I surrender, I surrender." "He's murdered the old witch," shouted one of the guards. "The exorcist? Bah! Good riddance on that scum. What do we do with him?" "Shoot him, I suppose." "He's a murderer." Piotr paled. "I saw the murder, but it wasn't me. It was a man in red robes with two others. Their bodies are further up the hill." One of the guards scowled at him and unsheathed his sword. "Couldn't just confess it and make it easy for us, Fine, whatever. Everyone loves a good hanging." "They're just up the hill. Where your friend is no doubt waiting with the crossbow, ready to shoot us in the back. We're not falling for that old trick. You'll get your trial, old man. Don't worry. But you will hang for sure for this one." "Already guilty in my book," scoffed the other guard. Piotr didn't consider himself to be a religious man, but he started to pray. Far above the cemetery, a falcon with black wings and red tail feathers circled in the sky. Its feathers glistened in the rain. It was hunting for fresh prey. Okay, now I'd like to apologize to anybody who was insulting my accent there. Yeah, the Scottish accent just came out of its own will. Anyway, so yeah, that was chapter 1 of The Exorcist Dagger. And for anyone who's interested, I'm going to read the back of it. The elderly thief Piotr has been accused of murdering a local exorcist in the mining town of Kazark. But with few options, he turns to Rathgar to help improve his innocence. Together with the young thief Grigori, Rathgar needs to find the real murderer, a Zarsian priest who is looking for the exorcist dagger. But Rathgar isn't the only one looking for the Zarsian priest. Svetlana, the exorcist's apprentice, is also looking for the priest in order to avenge her master's murder. Can Rathgar find the evil priest and keep him alive long enough to prove Piotr's innocence? And why does the priest want the Exorcist dagger in the first place? What is so special about it? The Zarsons will stop at nothing to get it. Trapped in the middle are the prize-fighting boxer Boris, the traumatized Smith's apprentice Burian, and the gnome Bisbald, who always seems to show up when trouble or gold is involved. Anyway, there we go. So yes, you could win a copy of this book. All you have to do is leave a comment and send me a message on Facebook. Sorry, not Facebook. Instagram. Don't send me many messages on Facebook. Send me a message on Instagram. Leave a comment, and don't forget to subscribe. Okay, bye-bye.